Okay, what if I told you the fastest path to $1 million app isn't on the iPhone? Today, we're going to tear down a founder's playbook that completely flips the script on what we all think we know about tech.
You've heard it a million times, right? The Silicon Valley mantra, build for iOS first. You know, Apple users spend more, the ecosystem's premium. That's the story we're all fed. But what if the actual hard data points to a totally different path? A path that's way more profitable and one that almost everyone is overlooking.
Just look at this number for a second, $125,000. Now, that's not a yearly salary. That is the revenue one simple app pulled in the last 28 days. That's $1 million a year run rate from a founder who just decided to ignore the popular opinion.
So where's all that money coming from? Well, get ready for this. A staggering 80% of it came from the one platform most developers treat like an afterthought, Android. Yeah, that's not a typo. It's a massive, overlooked goldmine.
So how is that even possible? Well, the founder, we'll call him Steve, he didn't follow the hype. He just followed the data. And that led him to this huge inefficiency in the market that pretty much everyone else was missing.
He basically discovered this huge arbitrage opportunity. See, advertising on iOS was 4 times more expensive. But here's the real kicker. Those super expensive iOS users, they only converted about 20% better than Android users. When you're bootstrapping, that math just doesn't work.
And this quote from Steve just nails it. Why would you pay a 400% premium for just a tiny 20% bump in conversions? It makes no sense. By focusing on Android, he could get customers for a fraction of the cost for pretty much the same return. It was a purely data-driven and honestly a brilliant move.
Now, this core insight wasn't just some theory. It became the engine for a really powerful, repeatable growth machine. A playbook designed to scale using the one channel that really matters for Android, Google Ads.
And this is the exact 6-step flywheel he built. Notice it's a closed loop. It just feeds itself. It all starts with rock-solid data attribution because, hey, you can't optimize what you can't measure, right? Then you start feeding Google's algorithm some initial data with simple install campaigns. Once the algorithm gets a taste, you optimize your creative and launch targeted campaigns. Only then, once you know what works, do you start carefully scaling the budget. And the last step, the crucial one, is feeding everything you learn back into the product itself to make it better, which makes your ads more profitable. And boom, the whole loop starts again, but stronger.
So what is this mystery app? What's cowering this $1 million business that's running almost entirely on Android? What does it actually do?
It's an AI calorie counter called Journalable. And in a market that is just flooded with complicated trackers, its entire reason for being is radical simplicity. No more hunting through crazy food databases. You just type what you ate or you snap a picture. That relentless focus on just removing friction is what got it to nearly 1 million downloads on Android alone.
And the operational stack is just as lean and mean. By leaning heavily on AI tools like Claude and OpenAI for basically everything from coding to customer support, and by living almost entirely inside the Google ecosystem, the overhead is kept incredibly low. This is how a tiny team, or even one person, can operate at such a massive scale.
Now, Steve's success isn't just a lucky break or some fluke. It actually points to a much bigger structural opportunity that most of the developer community is completely ignoring.
Think about market saturation for a second. This chart shows it all. Over the last few years, the iOS App Store has been flooded. It's grown 5-fold with new apps. Meanwhile, Android, it's only seen a 2-fold increase. So while everyone is fighting tooth and nail in that crowded iOS red ocean, Android is still this relatively blue ocean with way more room to compete and actually win.
Okay, so after breaking this all down, what's the one thing you really need to take away from this? What's the bottom line here?
Let's just run through the hard facts one more time. $1 million run rate with 80% of it coming from Android. A $500,000 ad spend that just breaks even, which is an incredibly scalable model. And it's all built on a simple market truth. iOS ads are 4 times more expensive in a market that's twice as saturated. The numbers just don't lie.
So if you remember one thing today, let it be this. Ignore the hype. Ignore what everyone else is doing. Your most profitable strategy isn't going to be in some blog post or a conference talk. It's hiding in your own data. Follow the numbers.
And that leaves us with one last kind of provocative question. This whole $1 million engine is built on one single platform, Google Ads. So, is that a genius move of extreme focus, or is it a ticking time bomb, a massive single point of failure just waiting to blow up? We really want to hear what you think. Is he a genius, or is he just lucky? State your case in the comments below.